Hello, welcome to the Soul Commander channel. Today we're taking a look at how to put together a Dripex ergonomic chair. Enjoy and make sure you like and subscribe and check the description out below where you can purchase this.
When you get an ergonomic chair, you get a lot of parts. And the first thing you need to do is go through your parts list and make sure everything is there. These are the parts you're going to need in step 1. And it's not marked, but this bag is M11. That's your M11 screws it's talking about, but those bag of screws are not marked. You can either use this device, which is in your parts, or you can use the Allen wrench, and you do leave the plastic piece on the metal when you put these on. You're going to slide all of these on here and put the screws in them, every one of these legs, and make sure that this is pointing up. And that is step 1. We do have all these on. This tool does work the best. When you're tightening these, don't over tighten the screws. Tighten them up, but don't over tighten them. And please don't use a power tool. Use the hand tool only. You'll have better results. Okay, we're on to step 2, and you can see I already have one attached. These do go in a little hard. Make sure when you put them on, you line them straight when you push them in. They will push in a little bit hard. There is a washer on there. It's already pre-installed, and it's talking about that in step 2. But this is basically step 2 and step 3 that you're in your manual doing now. So just go nice and easy with it. Make sure you push them in straight. They're not going to go all the way in. You can see there is a gap in there, so that should be that much of a gap. Okay. Okay, step 2 and 3 is complete. I found it better to lay the device, the base I should say, flat on the floor like it is now, and then push them in that way. So we're on to the next step. Also in step 4, they're showing you how to put the caster on with your thumbs. I did leave that step out. It talks about a petite girl not being able to do it. I think a petite girl can do it just fine. You won't need a man, but if you do, you do. I just thought I'd point out step 4. I kind of ignored it, but it's all part of putting the caster on. On to step 5. This is really simple. You just take the base cap and just drop it right over there. Push it down a little bit with your hand, and then take the cylinder this side up, and it just drops right in there, just like that. That's all there is to it. Be very careful not to press the white tip. This is under hydraulic pressure. If you do, it's going to pop up just like this. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. Don't put your hand on top of there and push down. You might get a surprise when it pops up. Okay, pay very close attention to this. This is our next step. This is actually step number 6. And we're going to be putting the arms on. And pay close attention. The front of the seat is labeled right there. So make sure that's in front of you. And then your arms are going to be labeled. You have to look inside this little square there. You can see R. There's an R. So that's right. Now remember, everything's in reverse. Since your front of your seat's here, if you flip the seat over, it's going to be left and right on the other side. So right is going to go on this side. Left is going to go on this side. And another little clue is this section right here is longer. That will face towards the back of the seat. This is the back of the seat. That will help you to figure this out as well. And just look at the photos if you're having any trouble. Now, these parts in the parts list, if you're looking for them, you should be able to find them, but you're looking at number 7, which is the seat. Number 8 is the arms. And then we're going to be using some screws and some washers as well. And you're going to find those right there. You can see they're labeled number 12. You're going to use those in your pack. And then you're going to use washers as well. And the washers are labeled number 13 right over here. So you're going to use those, okay, to screw it down. You're going to be wanting to use this tool to screw them down with as well.
Also, just a tip, I find it really easy to use a knife and just cut around the edges of what parts you need, and that way you won't have to get a millimeter ruler out and measure the millimeter of the bolts to find out if you have the right ones, and so on and so forth. Just a little tip. Just go step by step and use what you need out of the packet. Another tip, when you start these bolts, try to start them by hand if your hands are small enough so you don't strip the threads inside the seat. So just get them started by hand. And this is an adjustable armrest. As you can see, there's slots in there. So if you want to pull your arms way out to the outside, then just adjust these accordingly when you tighten them down, because the slots give you a little bit of room there to go in or out with the arms. Be careful when you're tightening these down. The washers can slip through the slots. So you want to be very, very careful and keep an eye out that the washer stays up top towards the head of the bolt when you're tightening them down, because they can slip through the slots. So just be aware of that and keep a close eye out on that. When you're putting these on too, don't snug the bolts down all the way tight, because if you do, like this one, if you start here and snug it down too tight, you're not going to be able to adjust it to line these up to get those in. So make sure you snug it a little bit, but not enough to make it so you can't adjust this back and forth. And as you can see, I'm putting the slots so the arm is pulled out as far as it can go on the outside. Again, this is right, and that's the front of the chair, and this is right. You put on this side, because when you flip the chair, that will become the right side of your chair. And of course, we have left the L over on this side. Okay, again, no power tools, just hand tools. You're dealing with plastic. It's a tough plastic, but you don't want to over tighten these. Just snug them up. And I put them so that the slots, again, so that the handle is out as far as it can go. What you might want to do when you're done with this, if you're the only one that's going to be sitting in it, is just flip the chair over and take a look at it and see if it looks about right for you, being either out all the way or in all the way. You decide. It's your chair. You decide on the adjustments how far you want the arms to be out. But yes, just don't over tighten these. Snug them up, but don't over tighten them. You're dealing with plastic. And this is the front of the chair. This is the front facing us after you flip it over. Okay, we're on step 7. Again, this is the front of your chair. The back is facing towards us. And of course, we have our arms on. And we're going on to step number 7. Step number 7, okay? And in step number 7, we're going to be using bolts number 14 in your parts list. That's these. Look for those. And then we're also going to be using the washers number 15. And then part number 6. And we're going to make sure that this part of part number 6 is towards the front of the chair. So you're going to put it on just like this, lining it up with the holes that are right down in there on these larger slots of the chair. So we're just going to go just like this and line them up. And then put our washers on the bolts, and we're going to bolt this down. Now this, you can give it a little bit more pressure because the base is metal, the plastic's a little bit wider across there, so you can tighten it a little bit more than suggested on the armrest. So don't be afraid to tighten this down pretty good, but only by hand again. Only by hand with your hand tool, okay? Again, just a reminder, when you're starting these bolts, if they're not going in nice and smooth and turning nice and smooth like this, then you need to start over. Take them out, line them up. You don't want to strip the screws, okay? So make sure they're lined up and they're going in nice and easy and smooth. We are now on step number 8, okay? Step number 8.
And that entails the back. And I've got the back here upside down, the back of the back facing us. And I have the actual chair seat that we were working on before up on my couch. You can put this on top of a box or something. The idea is here to lift it up off the ground, because we're going to take this back of the chair and we're going to line it up right here like this. If you see that, you're going to line it up right there like that. And then we're going to put the 3 bolts and washers in the top of it. You might need a person to help you hold the back of the chair. Again, here's your chair. It's upside down. The back is upside down. And this is the bottom piece of the back of the chair that we're sliding right into the base that we just put on. And the screws we're going to be using are the leftover washers. And we're using bolts number 16. There's 3 of those. You should have 3 washers left over, because there's a total of 7, and we used 4 in the last step. Again, same procedure. Use this tool and go ahead and make sure they're lined up before you tighten them up. If they go in hard, take them back out immediately. Don't strip the threads. Okay guys, you have a decision to make here too on the back. Just to show you, I have these started, but I don't have them tightened up. You can either pull the back out, because you can see these are slotted. They're all slotted right here. So you can pull the back out, or you can push it in. So do you want the back closer to the seat, or do you want it further away from the seat? In my case, I don't know. So I am just going to kind of center it where I think, just in the center of the slot, something like that. So I have a little bit of a gap here and a little bit of gap there. That's what I'm going to do. The decision is yours. Okay, I thought I was going to put them in the middle, but as I tighten them down, guys, you can see where it moved it back. So it's all the way out as far as it'll go out, which it's not a big leeway. It doesn't matter so much. It's not a huge amount, but just wanted to point that out. If you're having trouble like I did, just let it go all the way back. Okay, let it go all the way back. We're now on step 9, so we're going to take the chair and we're going to turn it upside down and put it on the pedestal first before we do the headrest. So that's what we're going to do next. And of course that is going to go right in here in the pedestal, and you're just going to flip the chair and put it right down over top of this. So here we have our chair, guys. Here we have our chair, and what you do is you just put it right on the pedestal there. It'll slide down about an inch. It should slide down when you get it lined up about an inch, and then just sit down on it, and that's all you have to do to create the compression there in the bottom of that. On to the next step for the headrest. We are on our final step, step number 9, and we're going to use part number 10, which is our leftover piece, the headrest, and we're going to use the screws that are listed right down at the bottom here, and you can see that they're number 18 screws, number 18 in our packet. That's these, and there's 2 of them. You're going to see we have some leftover stuff. These are just extra things, and then they also include a bag of extra screws and some washers, or I should say bolts, and some washers just in case you need those. So that's what those are for. And then of course step 10 is the final chair. Now the way this is going to go on, I'll show you here really quick. It's pretty simple, but it's kind of confusing at first because you're going, where does this go? Well, the top of the headrest just kind of clips right over there, and then I won't put it on just yet because if you look underneath the top here, there is some holes. I don't know if you can get it on the camera there, but there's some holes right up underneath here, and that's where your bolts are going to go, right up in there. The best way, guys, to get the headrest lined up, I found out, is first put it in the center where you think it is, then get underneath the chair or to the bottom of the chair
and it probably won't show up on camera here, but look to see if you can get those holes lined up underneath there. If you can get the holes lined up, then go ahead and start your bolts. Okay? Putting the headrest on, the last step was the worst and the hardest. Just take your time and try to get those screws lined up underneath. But here's your completed chair. All finished.